Namaste. So thank you for joining me for today's practice. Today's practice is probably a little bit more of a tutorial than it is an actual class. And the reason for that is because for some people it might be a little bit more of a complex pose, and the practice that we're going to do today is about headstand. Now, often with headstand comes a little bit of fear about just basically being on your head or turning yourself upside down. But I am here just to kind of lay those fears to rest a little bit, because you don't have to go into this full inversion. As I always say, it's nice just to enjoy the journey to the destination. So there's lots of poses that we're going to take today, which is just going to gear us up towards the actual headstand position. So also the nervous system needs to be addressed when working headstand, because we certainly don't want to be going up into that pose if we're all freaked out. So breath plays a big part as well in today's practice. And I'm going to open up the practice. I've kind of put them into categories. So the first three poses that we're going to work today are simply going to open it up with cat and cow. And the reason for that is just to really start to get into the actual shoulders and into the upper back. We're going to move from there into plank pose, just to help to engage the shoulder blades onto the back. And then we'll follow up from there with forearm plank, because definitely the core is required for headstand. Then the next category of poses are going to be inverted postures, but using postures like a wide angle forward bend to also access and get into the hamstrings, because believe it or not, hamstrings are required to get into headstand. We will take a wide angle forward bend with a twist, once again just to bring movement into the spine. And we'll move from there into shoulder mobility. Okay, so working postures like Garudasana arms, Gomukhasana arms. When we're working Garudasana arms, that's actually working the protraction of the shoulder blades, the position of the shoulder blades when we work into our headstand. So every posture that we're doing today is an ingredient to add towards your headstand. Like I said, whether you go into your headstand or not, no pressure. Let's just enjoy the journey to the destination. So let's get started. So we'll begin on all fours. Come into quadruped position. Just bringing the wrists underneath the shoulders, spread the fingers wide and the knees underneath the hips. Widen across the collarbones, and then as you exhale, start to move the tailbone in. Draw the rib cage in, the navel in, and then really begin to flex into the upper back. Draw the chin in towards the chest. Then inhale again, lift the sit bones, let the belly drop, spread the collarbones, lift the head, lift the chest, little gaze up. So exhaling as you round and you stretch out the upper back. Inhaling as you extend through the spinal column. So just continue several more rounds here of your cat and cow. And start to come into the breath. Breathing in, breathing out through the nose, and just keeping the breath nice and steady, nice and slow. Let's take 3 more cycles of that cat and cow stretch. and then bringing the spine to neutral. I'm just going to walk a little bit more forward onto the mat. So coming towards the top edge of your mat. Again, spread the fingers wide and press down through the pads of the fingers, through the base of your thumb and the first finger. You see that little bit of skin there? And really root down through that part of your hand and through your fingertips, just so that you're taking some of the pressure away from the actual wrist joint itself. Okay, you're lining again the wrists underneath the shoulders. Draw the navel into the spine and then extend the left leg back behind you. Just grip the toes underneath. Slightly lengthen the tailbone and then press down through the palms and step the right leg back and come into plank pose. Now, if this is too much, you can absolutely bring your knees onto the floor. But right now, the shoulder blades are resting onto the back body. So you're neither in cat, where you were rounding, and neither in the cow, where you're sinking your chest towards the floor. You're a little bit in between those two movements. So let's just hold here with a nice steady breath for 1, 2, 3, keep the core engaged, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you can do it, one more breath, and 10. Just lower down onto your knees, just sit back onto your heels for a moment and then just give your rest here a little bit of a shake out. Okay, so let's do one more of this category and that's going to be the forearm plank. So let's come back again. And then this time you're going to drop your forearms onto the floor so that you've got your elbows directly underneath the wrist crease here. Palms facing down, let's roll the inner wrist crease down. Draw the shoulder blades down the back and away from the ears. Draw the lower ribs softly in, pull the navel to the spine, and then again stepping the leg back. Pressing down through the ball of the foot, step your other leg back. Now be mindful you're not piking there in your hips, but lower the hips down. Okay, so press out strong through your heels. Again, knees can come down onto the floor. Try not to look at the toes, but just keep the gaze a little more forward. Navel pulling into spine, holding for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, you've got it, last breath, and 1. Bring the knees down, and then again just come back onto your heels, and just take a few breaths there. Awesome. All right, so we're going to move now on to the next category of postures. So like I said, the next category of postures here are basically preparing the body to go upside down. So postures like downward facing dog are an inversion because your head is going to be lower than the heart. Your heart is lower than your hips. So that is classed and verified as an inverted posture. So once again, let's come onto our hands and our knees. You don't want to see the view of Yoko's bum. All right, and then from there, rather than having the wrists underneath the shoulders, you can start there and then just walk your hands one hand span in front of that. Spread the fingers wide like you did in plank. Tuck the toes underneath and then exhale here and lift the hips up and back, coming into your downward facing dog position. Now, if you feel in your body that you just need to stretch out the backs of your legs for a moment, just lift one heel and stretch that other heel down towards the floor. Just feeling through the back side of the leg. And you can swap that out at any time. You can move dynamically, or maybe you just want to hold statically for a few breaths here. Remember just to keep the breath nice and easy. So we're just indicating to the nervous system we're trying to stay kind of a little bit more in that rest and restore. And then just coming into your downward facing dog. I'll see if we can just stretch both heels down towards the mat. Don't be afraid of that deep, sometimes intense stretch through the backs of the legs. So activate the legs, lift the kneecaps up, press the thigh bones here towards the backs of the legs. Neck nice and long. So like I mentioned earlier, that also having some flexibility in your hamstrings does certainly help in your headstand position, and you'll see why when we come to the final pose. All right, let's just hold here. 5 more deep breaths. 3, 2, and 1. And then gazing forward, and let's just walk our feet up now to our hands, coming into Uttanasana, into standing forward bend. Now, unless your hamstrings are like really super tight, where you feel like maybe you're hinging from your waist, in rather than hinging deep in your hip joint, try to keep the legs straight if you can, and a soft little bend into the knees. So if you can see here, I'm focusing on keeping the ankles, the knees, and the hips in line. Okay, so imagine that like the back seam of your legs are right up against a wall here. Draw the navel into the spine, and just take hold of either elbow. And just let also gravity here just stretch out the spine and the back body. Again, relax the head and the neck, relax the jaw. Just stay nice and easy with the breathing. Breathing in, breathing out through the nose. We'll hold Uttanasana for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then just bring the back of the hands onto the floor with a small micro bend into the knees. And then from there, just slowly begin to uncurl yourself up, 1 vertebra at a time. And then once you come up to standing, let's take our feet, our legs nice and wide on the mats. Give yourself a few moments if you're feeling a little dizzy. You want to be about a leg's length apart. And again, how do you know that? If you take your arms out wide and your ankles are about underneath the wrists, then that's about your leg's length here. Okay, toes are facing forward, and then bringing the hands onto the hips. And we'll come into Prasarita Padottanasana A, and then we'll add a twist. So take a deep inhalation here. Exhale, again hinging from the hips, so bend the knees if you need to with a nice long spine, folding forward and down, lower belly pulling in, and then set your hands onto the mat so your hands are at shoulder distance apart. And if you can maybe walk the heels of the hands back, like here in this pose, I've aligned the heels of my feet right to the very edge of the mat. And now I've aligned the heels of my hands right to the very back edge of the mat. But if your hands are lifted, then just bring them a little bit more forward till they are kind of flat down. Okay. Squeeze the elbows in, and again lift those shoulder blades down the back, drawing the shoulder blades onto the back ribs. Let the neck be long.
So just like in headstand, like if I draw the shoulders down towards the ears, then I'm going to end up kind of bringing a little bit more compression into my cervical spine. So I just want to keep the back of the neck here nice and long. Hopefully too you can see that if I pull my shirt down, and as though the crown of the head is coming down here towards the floor. And to, just like in the standing forward bend, let's bring the weight a little bit more towards the ball of the foot and the toes. Hold here, steady gaze, steady breath. Let's feel that deep stretch through your legs. And also that nice kind of rush of blood coming to the brain. And let's just take 3 more deep breaths here. The last cycle. At the end of that exhalation, walk the hands forward again, coming underneath your shoulders. You can either use a block here or come onto the fingertips of your right hand and just align the right hand so it's like directly in the center of your yoga mat, and bring your left hand onto your sacrum, onto your lower back, and we'll add a twist here. So breathing in, you're going to lengthen the spine, then breathing out, start to rotate the navel, turning the heart, widen across that left collarbone, and then extend that left arm up towards the sky. You can maybe look up to the tip of that left thumb. It feels like you want to engage those legs even more by hugging in towards the midline. Take another deep inhalation, and then on exhalation, let's change sides and bring the left hand exactly where was the right. Bring the right hand onto the lower back. Breathing in here as you lengthen the spine. Exhale, turn the navel to the right. Breathing in, lengthen. Breathing out, revolve the heart to the right. Breathing in, lengthen, breathing out, widen across that right collarbone here. Maybe reaching that right arm up towards the sky. So again, just working here a little bit of upper back, neck and shoulders. And then exhaling, bringing the hand down. And then from here, if you just start to toe heel the feet together, and then come down onto your knees and coming to seated. Very good. Okay, so the next category of postures, again, here's where we're going to be working into shoulder opening, shoulder mobilization. So these are postures that definitely you're like, I know this one. Okay, so the first one we're going to take is Hatha. So we're just going to bring the hands together, interlace the fingers, turning the palms out. Think about keeping the pinky finger staying tucked in. I want to turn to the side so you'll just see a little bit more here. So as you turn the palms out, just slide the shoulder blades again onto the back body. Draw the ribs and the lower belly in, and slowly reaching the arms above the head. Now you needn't worry if your arms don't go right next to the ears. Like if you find that your spine is dramatically changing shape, maybe your arms will be a little bit more on this angle. Okay, navel pulling in, keep the chin parallel to the floor. Relax the jaw. Let's hold here for 5 more deep breaths. Root down through your sit bones and get that nice length there through the sides of the body. So we're also working the shoulder joint itself into the position of flexion, and that's the position of the shoulder joint when you're in your headstand. Take another breath in. And then breathing out, and then slowly releasing the hands down. Okay, and then the next one that we're going to work is the Garudasana arm. So Garudasana is the eagle arm, and then in that position, the shoulder blades are actually moving away from the spine. So when I'm working into this position in headstand, it's the same action. The shoulder blades are going to be moving away from the spine. Okay, so let's come, bring the right arm out in front, right elbow on top of the left, binding at the elbows, binding at the wrists. Again, just relax the shoulders, relax the jaw, holding here for 5, 4, and try to feel or sense the shoulder blades really wrapping around your rib cage here. 3, 2, and 1, and slowly releasing, and then changing sides. Okay, so let's bring left elbow on the top, binding at the elbows, binding at the wrists. Relax the jaw for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly releasing. Relax the shoulders. I'm going to turn my back to you here for the moment because we've got another one here now, which is Gomukhasana. So again, in Gomukhasana, the arm that's above the head is the shoulder that will be in the flexion. So we're going to take the right arm out, we'll turn that palm up to face the ceiling, reach the arm above the head, then drop the hand behind the back. Take the left arm out to the left, turn that thumb down, reach the arm back, and start to swim that left arm up the back. Now you needn't worry. Yeah, if your hands don't reach, they don't reach. You could always just grab hold of your clothes. You could use a yoga belt here also in between the hands. Okay, so again, just let go of the outcome of the pose. If you reach, you reach. If you don't, you don't. But just stretch up long through that right side body, right elbow pointing straight up towards the sky. Widen across that left collarbone. Keep the chin parallel, jaw relaxed. Holding again here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then slowly release, bringing the hands down. Let's change sides. Take the left arm out, left palm up, reach the left arm above the head, drop the hand behind. Take the right arm out, thumb down, reach the arm back, bend the elbow. Swim that right hand up the back. And again, just as you did on the other side, you can just grab your clothes. You can also take hold with a belt. But going long here through that left side body, so you can see from the left hip right through to the left armpit, right through the tricep to that left elbow. Lower ribs here too, softly pulling in. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then slowly releasing and bringing the hands down. All right, well done. So we're getting there now. We've got one last pose before we do our peak posture. So even if today you maybe just leave it at the dolphin and then you just watch, or you can pause the video and take as long as you need to approach your headstand position. But again, if there are any issues at all with your neck, cervical spine, with your eyes, glaucoma, detached retina, then this isn't the pose for you. Okay? But I'm sure you had fun just enjoying the journey to the destination. So let's just come back up onto the knees. Again, align the knees underneath the hips. Let's drop back down onto the forearms here. And then we'll use the little cheating method. We're going to just bring the palms together, interlace the fingers, bring the pinky finger inside. And look again, the elbows are underneath the shoulders. Okay, widen across the collarbones. Draw the lower ribs and the belly in. Tuck the toes underneath. Press the forearms and the pinky fingers into the floor and then lift the sit bones up towards the ceiling. So you see it kind of mirrors that downward facing dog position. So press the forearms into the floor. And when we come into headstand, there's more weight in your arms than there is in your head. Right now, there's no weight on the head. So press down through the forearms. Okay, and so this is where we need that flexibility through the hamstrings. So if the hamstrings are tight and you walk your feet in, you may even end up rounding into your upper back rather than really drawing the thoracic, the upper back, in towards the chest. So from here with the hamstrings, you're just going to lift up really high onto the balls of the feet and tiptoe the feet in. So you're really trying to align those hips over the shoulders here. Okay, press down through the forearms. You can look back at the toes. You can look between the elbows, holding for 5. Sag that navel into the spine. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Walk the feet back, come down onto the knees, and then come to seated. Awesome. Okay, so maybe that's something that you're just going to repeat 2, 3, 4, 5 times, time and time again. Okay, so those of you that know your headstand and you can practice freestanding headstand in the middle of the road, the middle of the road. No, please don't practice your headstand in the middle of the road. I don't know where that came from. The middle of the room, I'm trying to say. Then yeah, go for it. Go for maybe challenge yourself with kind of different variations, whether that be you could maybe do some Garudasana legs because you did the arms, so you could wrap the legs if you wanted to do something different today. Or even just sustaining your headstand for a longer hold than usual, okay? But because, again, it's more tutorial, I'm going to bring my headstand to the wall, okay? So, if you're coming with me there, you're going to take your yoga mat and you're going to fold it in half, and you're going to fold it in half again, so you've got a little bit of extra padding, and then you're going to take that right up to the wall, okay? Now, like I mentioned before with the headstand, when we come to balance on our head, there was a part of your head when you were a baby was known as the fontanelle. It was that little soft part of the head. That's about where we are going to rest the weight, okay? And it's only pinpointing. You may need to move slightly forward, slightly backward, but please don't come onto the hairline, okay, or right back here towards the crown of the head. It's a little bit more forward, okay. Like I mentioned earlier, there is only 30% weight on your head. That's not a lot, 30% weight on the head. And then the rest, the 70, is going to be through the forearms. Remember your forearm plank? Yeah. So that hold through there, the dolphin pose that we just did. So it's that real pressing down through the forearm bones. So let's give this a try, okay? When we begin, we're going to interlace the fingers like we did. Bring that pinky finger inside so that when you bring the hands down, they don't crush. Okay? You're going to have a nice view of my derriere here also. So as you come to kneeling, set that position of the knuckles to the wall. Align the elbows underneath your shoulders.
create a little cup with your hands so that you can rest. I'll just separate my feet a little so you can see. You can rest the fontanelle part of your head into your hands. So let me just turn and show you this way around. It's going to be this position at the wall, okay? Fingers interlaced. So you don't want the elbows wide. You want to draw the elbows in underneath the shoulders, okay? And the back of the head is resting in the hands like so. Okay? All right. So again, just assuming that position. Press down through the forearms. Lift the shoulders down and away from the ears. Tuck your toes underneath. Remember, 70-30. 30 on your head and 70 in your forearms. Lift the hips up, lift the knees, and tiptoe the feet in, just like we did in dolphin pose. And keep walking the feet in until you feel your back press against the wall. And push your back into the wall. Press your spine into the wall. And then from there, you can just bend the right knee, squeeze the heel in towards the butt. Bring a little bend into the left knee, using the core to pick the feet up. Extend one leg up the sky, up the wall, and then bring your other leg up the wall. Forearms press down, shoulder blades lift away from the ears so the neck stays long. Navel pulls in, activate the core, and nice strong legs here. Keep the breath nice and easy. If it's your first time, you don't want to hold for any more than 10 breaths. Okay, so keep the breath nice and steady. So remember, if it's fear that's just stopping you right now, then just work with that via the breath. Maybe just staying with the dolphin pose. Okay, so nice and controlled, we'll start to make our way down. Just bring one knee in, bring the other knee in, place one foot down and the other foot down. Bring the knees down, and move straight into child's pose. Bring the forehead into the ground. Let the neck here just rest and relax. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders. And slowly from there, drawing yourself up. Awesome. Just come to seated. Just turn your head to look over the right shoulder. Center over the left shoulder. And center. Just draw the chin down. Lift the chin, draw the chin up. And then bring the head down. Relax your shoulders, just let your eyes close down. Take a moment just to tune in and notice how you feel. Maybe if you inverted and went upside down into your headstand, there could well be this like overwhelming self of achievement. Like, oh my God, I did it. I just did it. And again, if it didn't happen today, it's okay. It really is okay. Maybe the headstand just isn't going to be in your practice in this lifetime. Yeah? Just acceptance. Acceptance. Bring your hands to the heart. Take a moment just to thank yourself for your practice today. And bowing your head to your heart, open your eyes and gaze inwardly. And namaste. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this practice. If you'd like more practices like this, please send me a message and let me know. Feel free to take a Shavasana if you feel like you're needed. Then otherwise, awesome. Great job. Enjoy the rest of your day. From my heart space to yours. Namaste. Thank you.